to this week's, hey there, welcome to this week's live training event. Um, Obviously, as you can tell, my background's a little bit different today. I'm actually in the car waiting to pick up my stepdaughter. Um, so, Pardon the car and parking lot experience behind me. But anyway, where you will be talking about cardio exercises and which one, breaking them down, and then which one should you be focusing on. So part of this is just keeping in mind, obviously, what your goals are, because each one's a little bit different. So when we're talking about cardio, a lot of people confuse the terms intensity and impact, which is not an uncommon mistake, obviously. So intensity is also referred to as your exertion level. So it's the amount of difficulty and energy and effort that you're actually putting into your workout versus the impact refers to the amount of force that's being applied to your body. So this is where the main difference is, but we're going to break it down into even more of detailed. So, for instance, you can have a high impact, high intensity workout. You can have a low impact but high intensity workout, and you can also have low impact and low intensity workout. Doesn't that mean that you're just relaxing? Not quite. So let's take a look at as far as intensity. Let's break that down even further. Low intensity, steady state cardio actually burns a higher percentage of body fat, whereas high intensity types of cardio burn a total greater number of calories because it speeds up the enzymes associated with burning fat. So obviously, depending on what your goal is, that dictates which type you should be doing. Most people try to get a combination of the two, so that way you get the benefit of both, right? So how do you measure intensity, essentially? It depends on how the exercise feels to you. So how difficult is it? This is known as your rate of perceived exertion, or RPEs. So what this means, this is a very personalized individual number, which is essential because obviously everybody's different. And so your RPE is different than my RPE, or different from someone else's. And this is good because then you know that you're working at your level of difficulty, whether it's whatever you're setting your goal for. And that's different than someone else. And many factors go into this. Obviously, your weight, your overall exercise, physical conditioning that you had before, what you're currently doing, your diet, all these things influence your RPE. Another good indicator that many people use is your heart rate. Obviously, if your heart is pounding and pumping, then it's an intense workout. So many people use the reference for like running. If you are running to the point where you can carry on a conversation and still run, then it's a moderate type of activity. If you're running to the point where you can't talk because you're putting that much effort into it, that would be a form of high intensity type of running. So that's basically intensity in a nutshell. Let's take a look at impact, because impact is different. So no impact basically means that your feet aren't leaving the ground. So great examples of this would be swimming or using the elliptical, because obviously there's no impact on your knees, which is why people who have difficulty running often will switch to the elliptical because there's less stress on joints and such. Same thing with swimming. Swimming's awesome because there's no stress on joints from impact. Low impact activities are where at least one foot is still on the ground, such as walking. This means you're walking and obviously one foot's always in contact with the ground. High impact is where both feet are off the ground at the same time. So running qualifies into this, and anything that's like a plyometrics routine, that's also a key factor in here. So high impact activities are anything that includes jumping, leaping, jogging in place. But the key thing to remember is high impact activities can actually cause injury if you're not prepared for them. So if you're not used to exercising, and then all of a sudden you start trying to do high intensity training or something like that, where you're doing HIIT training, or, and plyometrics into that HIIT training, then you can actually end up injured. So it's important to be cautious. And if you notice something's hurting, stop what you're doing and then resume with a lower impact modification of that same activity if you feel that you can continue. So before starting any high impact activities, you should always warm up first. So we're going to go over some examples of high impact activities, which are jumping jacks, jumping rope, obviously running or jogging. It could be on the treadmill, could be outdoors, whichever you prefer. And then obviously, as I mentioned, the plyometric exercises, which is something like the P90X or anything like that. So the high impact exercises are obviously usually more intense and you're going to be expending more energy. So that's why you need to be well prepared. Obviously, if you have issues with your ankles, knees, hips, or back, these are probably not the activities for you because this will only cause you injury or exacerbate already issues that you've got going on. The benefits of high impact activity is obviously you get your heart rate up quicker, so you're burning more calories while you're exercising. The weight of gravity pulling on your bones and muscles actually helps to increase your bone density. So that means you're at less risk for osteoporosis and other things later in life, as long as you do this on a regular basis. You increase your stability, balance, and coordination, which is important because obviously when you are trying to, as you're aging, balance and stability are a key factor. So by doing this throughout your entire life, this will help prevent you from having balance issues when you're older. And by doing this type of activity, you're strengthening your heart and lungs, which means that you'll be less prone to having issues with cardiovascular diseases and obviously pulmonary issues. So this is really, really important. Obviously, there's some downfalls to this, which, as I mentioned, if you have joint problems or arthritis, this can be painful. If you're doing different types of cross training, you can get overuse injuries if you're doing it too much, too intense. For people who are overweight or obese, initially trying to do something like this can be uncomfortable just because you're carrying around so much extra weight. It makes it that much more challenging to do what you are trying to do. So that gets us to the low impact exercises, which are less jarring on your bones and joints. But they're also less intense overall, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You just have to keep moving. Sometimes if you're doing low impact, it means longer duration versus high impact, which is shorter duration. So that's where you have to factor in your lifestyle, your body composition, and then as far as what your goal is. So some examples, as we were talking about, one is the elliptical, obviously walking, low impact aerobics. Rowing machines are great because it's not that pounding impact. Dancing, bicycling, swimming, obviously Nordic walking, which is a big thing that can also be factored in. So it's just important to realize that low impact doesn't mean low intensity, unless you're designing it to be that way. You can still get an intense workout doing low impact. So it just depends on what your goal is and how much effort you're actually doing. That's the intensity portion. So low impact are great for people who are just starting out, anyone with arthritis, older adults, anyone who's overweight and trying to lose weight and they're initially starting this process, obviously pregnant women because they shouldn't be doing any form of exertional activity that could potentially harm the baby. And then anyone who's got bone, joint, or connective tissue issues. And the key factor here, and this is what one of the big thing is that understanding low impact exercises actually can aid in the performance of high impact exercises because they help you build strength and flexibility around the joints that allows you to protect those joints better. So that way when you're doing something more strenuous, more intense, you're less likely to be injured. This is why a lot of people try to incorporate low impact and high impact with the different intensity levels because of the fact you get benefits from both. When it comes to recovery, stretching and yoga are key because they actually help you recover faster. And this is something that obviously, you don't want to be sore all the time. And when you're initially starting a routine, that's a common occurrence. They can also help you build your core strength, have better posture, and form while working out because your muscles aren't tight and contracted. They're actually nice, loose, flexible. They're going to do what you need them to do. And this makes you less likely to be injured as well because of that. So really the type of cardio you do should depend on your fitness level and your goal. So to summarize, low impact, high intensity exercises are best for those who want to improve their overall fitness, flexibility, and cardiovascular strength. Low impact exercises are also recommended for anybody with prior injuries and to avoid overstraining their bodies, and for those who are new to working out, so they're trying to prevent injuries. And the key factor to remember when calculating your RPEs is that your rate of perceived exertion is personal to you. So you can choose whether you want low or high impact, and that's just your decision. And if you feel that you've exerted yourself, just slow down. Slow down that intensity. Whether you're in a class, whether you're doing, just a workout in the gym, whether you're running. If you feel that it's too much, then back off. And that's the key thing is being aware of your body. And this is this whole concept of understanding RPEs. That's why I like it so much, is because it's personalized to you. So it's this awareness that you need to have regarding your body and other things that, you get to decide. And so part of it is understanding, you got to start somewhere. So you have a baseline and then you slowly build on that. And so if it's on a 1 to 10 scale, an RPE of 5 is maybe mid-range. So if you're doing the like mid-intensity type of a workout, then that's where you're going to be at, is like an RPE of 5. If you're doing high intensity, it should be somewhere around maybe 8 to 9. But at no point really should you ever be working out for any length of duration at your most maximum effort, or an RPE of 10. So and this is where you get to experiment and have fun. I mean, you can try different intensities and impact levels, different groups that have, and that's where group classes at gyms for whatever it is, whether it's cycling, dancing, whatever, you can try them out and see which ones you like. And then obviously if something's too much, this is where you can make those modifications. But the bottom line is obviously getting out there, exercising and being active and finding what you enjoy doing, because that's the key. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it, and then you're not going to get the benefits of it. So thank you guys for joining me today. I know this was last minute as far as being in the car here, so hopefully it's not too distracting with all the people walking by. But anyway, I will see you guys next week. Until then, I want you to stay healthy. And if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please, please, please put them in below. I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week.